Welcome to Around and Around, the OCD Circle. My name is Elizabeth, and I have been living with obsessive-compulsive disorder for over 60 years. I am not a therapist or a member of the medical community. I am just an ordinary person like yourself who will be sharing my thoughts and experiences with you, with the hope that you will feel less alone. If you don't have OCD, I hope you will learn some information that will help you understand this disorder better. Some of the topics I will be covering may be triggering for you as a listener. If so, I apologize in advance. Since I don't know what your triggers are, please refer to the episode summary in the show notes before listening to each episode. If at any time you feel like hurting yourself or ending your life, please call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 if you are in the United States. It is open 24 hours a day, and you will be connected with the nearest crisis center to receive immediate counseling and local mental health referrals. Now, on to today's episode. Welcome back, everyone, to Around and Around the OCD Circle podcast. I want to remind you that this podcast now has a Facebook page where we can discuss OCD with others who live with this disorder daily. The link is below in the show notes, along with my other social media links. Today's show is the conclusion of my conversation with Jaimi McPeek, where we continue diving into the topic of self-love. If you haven't listened to parts 1 and 2, I invite you to do so. You may remember Jaimi in previous episodes where she shared her OCD story. She is the founder of the mental health awareness movement, Flip of a Coin. During today's conversation, Jaimi and I discussed the following self-love topics: overcoming self-doubt and insecurities, the role of gratitude, self-love and mental health, expressing self-love creatively, embracing change and growth, learning from setbacks, and self-love and personal values. You can reach out to Jaimi at one of her social media accounts, which are listed below in the show notes. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and that it helps you feel less alone. Next one is overcoming self-doubt and insecurities, identifying and challenging negative self-talk, strategies for overcoming self-doubt and building confidence.
Yeah, I feel like we address this with the affirmations and the stoicism and all, but let me see. Identifying and challenging negative self-talk.
Do you still have negative self-talk, Jaimi?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, but it's definitely nowhere near as frequent.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere near as frequent. And when I do have the negative self-talk, it doesn't last as long. I'm usually, I'll go through a period where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't say this funnily. I say it because I genuinely feel it in the moment, like, oh my gosh, I hate myself. And then, maybe a half an hour go by and I have to calm down a little bit, but it's like, no, I don't hate myself. I'm okay. I'm fine. It was just, I didn't like what happened in that moment, but that's okay. So yeah, I definitely still deal with negative self-talk. And I think anybody who's really human and is going to deal with some form of negative self-talk. And then of course, depending on if you have OCD or anxiety, that may get exacerbated. But I think exactly what this bullet point says, identifying is the first step in overcoming the negative self-talk, is identifying that you are being negative towards yourself and really ask yourself, is this helpful? Is me saying this about myself helping myself, or is it hurting myself? Mm-hmm. And really the correct answer should be it's hurting yourself, because negative self-talk is never good. Mm-hmm. And then you should ask yourself, well, then why am I doing this? Why am I talking to myself like this? And almost view it as if you're talking to a child or talking to someone that you care about. And that has been a huge thing to me. I sometimes have like interviews with myself in the car, like kind of like this, like a podcast with myself in the car with no microphone or no audio, nothing. It's just me talking to myself. And it's kind of just about things like this, where I talk about this as if like I'm talking to myself, but it's as if I was talking to someone else. And that comes from identifying how I'm talking to myself, and I guess challenging the negative self-talk is doing just that. Why am I saying this to myself? How is this benefiting me? And how can I turn this around and be more positive so that I can achieve more positive results and outcomes, etc. Because negativity is just a big ship on the outskirts of a whirlpool. And the more negativity there is, the closer you're getting to that center. But you can never, again, once you're stuck in that whirlpool of negativity, you can't get out. You can't feed negativity with negativity because it's just going to add to it. And you're just going to feel worse about yourself. The only way that you're going to get out of that whirlpool and continue sailing is by adding in positive self-talk and positive things into your life. And I think that is a huge strategy for overcoming that, which is that next bullet point, strategies for overcoming self-doubt, is that, again, as hard as it may be, because if you do have such negative feelings about yourself, which, believe me, I understand, that was my whole childhood. As hard as that may be, the only way to counteract a negative is with a positive. Mm-hmm. And if you're not at a place where you can find that within yourself just yet, then that's where, you can reach out to a friend, a family member, a therapist, someone that you trust to talk about with. But over time, with enough practice, you will be able to find that within yourself too. Mm. And that is huge with overcoming that. And as far as the building confidence, again, that's all a part of everything we've been talking about over time, of just being kinder to yourself and being nicer to yourself, so your confidence will go up, and ironically your self-esteem will go up, but it comes from within and not from outside.
Right. And I would suggest that if you have self-talk, negative self-talk, you find it's happening over and over, that you develop an affirmation with that to counteract it.
Yeah, that's a great one. I think I may have mentioned this in the last episode, but I'm trying to think of how to word it. But my mom had taught me this growing up, that when I have a certain thought, like an OCD thought, when I have like a certain thought that pops into my head, immediately think of something else. Immediately. So, like, for example, growing up at starting at age 6, which is a super young age to be thinking about this, but I was terrified of death. Like, death freaked me, and I was 6 years old. Like, I was so young, but I was terrified of dying. And I remember I would have breakdowns, like, and I felt like I was dying in these breakdowns because I was so scared to die that I felt like I was dying. And it was bad. These were some of the scariest breakdowns I've ever had to date, because they were so intense. And I had them for ages like 6 through 9, I want to say, they were really, really, really bad. And my mom had taught me to, whenever I think about death, immediately think about something else. Doesn't matter what, just immediately think about something else. And now, basically from ages 9 through present day, whenever that thought of death pops in my head, my brain has become so used to immediately thinking about something else that thought pops away and is replaced by something else. And it's really cool how you can train your brain to do that. So that's also something else that you can work on too. If you have negative self-talk, you can immediately replace it with a positive. Mm-hmm. And so let's say, you know, find just one thing that you like about yourself. And anytime you have that negative self-talk, you can counteract it with that positive. This is one thing that's great about myself, or one thing that I think I'm awesome at, or one thing that, like, one trait that I have that is great, or yeah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also a cool way to be able to counteract those as well.
Yeah.
Again, that may not fix the problem like these other mechanisms I described will, but that is a temporary, just to push that negative thought out. That is definitely a temporary tool to have while you're continuing to work on it, to work on the underlying cause of the negative self-talk.
Do you practice gratitude at all?
Yes, and actually, this year, January 1st, I just started my own gratitude journal. So at the end of, I haven't done it every night, but I've done it most nights. The past 2 nights I haven't. I have to make sure I do it tonight. But at the end of each day, I write down one thing that I'm grateful for. And that can be something that I'm grateful for, myself, like my health or my determination or my passion, or that could be something that I was grateful for that day. Like, I had a really great day out with my friend on one day in January, and I wrote down, I am grateful for the amazing time I had with my friend today. So that can be really whatever you're grateful for that day. And my goal with that journal is at the end of the year, I'm going to look back at my year and look at all the great things. Mm-hmm. And it just takes like 30 seconds at night. The past 2 nights, I totally haven't done it. I have to do it tonight. But I'm going to write down what I'm grateful for. I'm probably going to say this podcast, grateful to be able to talk on this podcast. But yeah, no, gratitude is so important. Mm-hmm. So important, because again, it goes back to that whole perspective and everything. There are so many things that we take for granted. My gosh, there are so many things that we take for granted. And that is one thing that the pandemic really helped me realize. Don't take your health for granted. Don't take your family for granted. Don't take being able to socialize with friends and go out with friends for granted. Don't take those things for granted. Don't take going outside for granted. Don't take breathing in fresh air for granted. It's so many things that you can be grateful for all around you. Can you walk on 2 legs? That's amazing. Not everyone gets to do that. Can you see fine? That's amazing. Not everyone gets to do that. And just little things that we just go about our daily life just like, oh yeah, it's like to be expected. But no, it's like, again, not everybody has the privilege of being healthy and having all their limbs intact and having, perfect whatever. And even going a step further, not everyone has access to clean water or to fresh air or to a roof over their head or to fresh food in their fridge. Not everyone has that. So just really taking a moment and realizing, like, are the things I'm worrying about really that big of a deal? Mm-hmm. And that's where the gratitude can just come in. And gosh, I mean, gratitude has saved my life. Seriously, focusing on that has saved my life.
Mm-hmm. I've done it different ways. I've done it in my planner at the end of the day, a space for me to write down what I'm thankful for. I've also done it like on a 2-page spread for the whole month. And so I've just got them in all different places, first of the month, second of the month, but I've got them all over so that I can look at the entire spread for the entire month of mm-hmm. what I was grateful for, instead of just reading them day by day. And when you lay them all out, when you see 30 to 31 things from the month that you were grateful for, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also a very good way to do it. I love that. Yeah, definitely.
You don't realize until you see 30 things sitting there staring at your face and like, wow, I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky, however you want to say it, that I have all these things that I'm grateful for.
And gosh, when you get to the end of
Even
the
the tiniest things.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
then by the end of the year, you have about 365 of
Right.
them to look
I know.
over. And that's
Right.
great. That's
I know.
amazing.
Would have to put a
Yeah.
mural on my wall to do that, but
Yeah. Yeah, but
okay.
gratitude is so important. So important.
Uh well, this next one is self-love and mental health. I think we've covered a lot of these already. The connection between
Yes.
self-love and mental well-being,
Yep.
seeking professional help and resources when needed.
Yes.
And again, I'll tell my listeners, if you're looking for a counselor and you don't click with the first person that you meet, it's okay to change 3, 4, 5, however many times you need to change. There's nothing wrong with that. You've got to find the person that you click with and who you feel like you're benefiting from, because like I've said in the past,
Mhm.
I went to counseling for 11 years with a wonderful woman. She was as sweet and kind as she could be, but I got nothing out of it for 11 years. And I was just thinking, oh, she's so nice and she agrees with everything I say, but she didn't help me, you know?
Absolutely.
So
Very well said.
be with someone who challenges you.
Mhm.
Find someone who challenges you. Find someone who gives you choices. You have the situation. This is what my counselor does. This is why I've been with her for 20 years. She gives me 3 or 4 choices. Which one are you going to pick, Beth? Try it. Come back. Did that work? No. Okay, we'll pick a different one. She gives me choices. It's not like you have to do it this way. There's so many different things you can do for different situations.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to say about self-love and mental health before we move on?
Honestly, no, because I feel
I mean, we've
all
talked
this ties in.
yeah, we've talked about a lot of this.
Yeah.
Expressing self-love creatively, using
Yes.
creative outlets like art, writing, music to express self-love, incorporating creativity and self-discovery and self-expression.
I love this because there are so many cool ways to get creative.
Mhm.
And obviously, again, to anyone who's listened to the first part of this of my talk, the creative outlets I used growing up, dance and performing and all. But I mean, I also use poetry. I still write poetry to this day. I have probably over 70 or 80 poems written. I'm going to be turning into a book shortly here. But I mean, there's so many cool ways you can or express self-love. And I I like doing this thing when I meditate. That is a very creative thing that you can do anytime, really, any place. You don't have to be meditating to do it. But really, whenever you feel, and this is kind of tapping into that inner creativity, whenever you feel anxious, just think about breathing in your favorite color and just imagine that color filling your body head to toe. My favorite color is purple. So I breathe in like a
Too.
light, yes, A. So I breathe in like a light purple
Mhm.
and it's a fun feeling. And then when I breathe out, I'm breathing out, like black and like, the anxiousness, the anxiety, that color. I'm breathing out the gunky stuff. And
Mhm.
then, but that's and I can't take full credit for that. That's actually something I learned when I was about 5 years old with my psychologist. Um, but I never forgot it because it was something so unique and something I still have not heard to this day whenever listened to anything about self-help. But it's something that really helps. And again, that's just like a little like tap into your creativity and really using your imagination or a lot of times when you meditate there are visuals you can use, like having a ball of light and seeing that light go through your body. But there's so many ways that you can play off that and use that to express self-love and self-expression and self-discovery. And you can find, I don't know, you can find some cool things when you kind of let go of expectations of how self-love should look like. Again, it doesn't always have to be I'm doing the perfect yoga pose or I'm making this masterpiece of art. through my express. Like, no, it can just be something simple, like getting spicy with your breathing techniques, you know? It can be so many things. And I think that's where you can add that playfulness and then almost like that inner child, and really see what makes you happy and what clicks with you and resonates with you, whether that's a color or a song, or if you're a sensory person, you like to, feel things, and whatever it is, honestly.
Mhm. This isn't really creativity, but you reminded me. I have meditated with Deepak Chopra in person probably 3 times,
Mhm.
and the way he gets your meditation started is you pretend that you're smelling a red rose,
Hmm.
and boy, you know how strong a red rose smells.
Yeah.
You can really imagine that going through your nostrils.
Mhm.
It really,
Absolutely.
it really does. It really does the trick.
Yeah.
I'll have
Yeah.
to I'll have to try to breathe in some purple.
It's cool. I don't know how to explain it. And again, maybe that doesn't help you, but at least for
Mm.
me, that's helped.
My
But
granddaughter has decided her purple's her favorite color, so
hey,
I'm glad
I
that we
love it.
shared that. Yeah, I've done a lot of creative things in the past to just kind of let it all out. I've painted. I wrote a novel. Um, I would crochet things, but I would make the pattern myself. Like I would just say,
Mhm.
I want to crochet something. I'll just make it up. You know, um, anything that relaxes me.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
and again and
poetry.
again. Oh, sorry.
I've done poetry
Mhm.
all my life. I've written poetry. Um, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and again, kind of like what you're saying with the therapist or the professionals, if one thing doesn't work for you, try something else.
Yeah,
And your the journey of self-love is your journey is not going to be same as mine. It's not going to be same as Beth's. It's not going to be same as anybody's. It's your own journey. So experiment and get creative and get playful with it and see what you can come up with that really helps you. It's not always going to be, like I said, that picture perfect yoga pose, it's
right.
it's not it's
And the
not always
important
that.
thing is to make the time
Yes.
because you deserve that time, and it's important.
Yes.
And and to say I don't have time, you got to make some time because
Mhm.
you're important too. You know,
Yourself is a priority. So
it really
again,
should be. It
yeah.
really should be.
Yeah. People
And
always.
I mean, I know when I think of, like I'm thinking right now of my daughter, she's got 2 kids. They both have strep throat. She's got a 9 to 5. There's all these things happening, and I'm sure she's like, I don't have time. You know, there's got you've got I've been helping, telling her you've got to make the time. You got to,
That, yeah.
when the baby's napping, you need a nap. You know,
Mhm.
you've got to make it a priority, or it will never happen.
Mhm.
You will not do it.
And here's the thing, for things that you care about, you do make time for.
Right.
You do. So, and it's okay if right now you feel like you don't care about yourself, but you have to make that time, and then I promise you, because the journey of self-love is so powerful, and again, it may take some time, you will get to that place where you don't even have to make time anymore. Like, it will just be a part of your routine. It'll be a part of it. And that, again, is very powerful. I used to view yoga and meditation and affirmations as like a chore, something I had to do, but I knew that it was important, so I made sure I did it. But now, I mean, I look so forward to doing it, and I feel so good when I do it. And whenever I have a day where I can't do it, like for example, if I'm sick and I can't do my yoga, I feel it. I feel it in my mental health. So, yeah, even if you make time for the things that you care about, and even if yourself right now isn't a priority, it will become one, because you will realize that yourself is a priority. and it should be a priority.
Yeah, and I would say look at the things you're spending your time on now. How
Yeah.
much time are you on social media?
Yes. Oh my
How
gosh.
much time
Yes.
are you playing games on your
Yeah.
phone or your
Yeah.
Xbox or watching a TV show?
Absolutely.
You know, cut
That's a
cut some of that out
that's a
and
great point.
replace it with something that's actually benefiting you.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm not saying that it's not relaxing to it is relaxing to sit and watch a show or play a game. It is, but you know, just consider cutting that time down and adding
Mhm.
something new to
Absolutely.
your schedule that is
Yeah, that's a really
equally or
really great
more
point.
beneficial in a different way. You know, relaxing is different than working on yourself. I mean,
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
there's a lot to say for relaxing, you know. I love to relax, okay? It's hard for me to relax because if I relax, my brain starts talking to me,
Mhm.
and I have to keep busy or the OCD thoughts start creeping in.
Yeah.
But there is a difference between relaxing and affirmations or relaxing
Mhm.
and meditation, you know, or
Mhm.
prayer or whatever you do because it's another benefit. It's a different benefit. So,
That honestly, that is so well said. And yeah, that is so true. There is a difference. There is a very big difference between it. And I think that was a very important point that you brought across.
okay, we have another topic. We're getting there. Embracing change and growth, viewing challenges as opportunities for growth, and how self-love supports resilience and adaptability.
I love this. I love this because again, without failure, you can never grow. You can never
I agree.
a, s- a smooth sea never made a skillful sailor. There's always going to be challenges
Hmm.
and there's always going to be things that you have to overcome.
Hmm.
But if you look back at any of those challenges that you've overcome, you're going to realize one consistent thing, and that's you've gotten stronger from them.
Hmm.
And that's your growth. So as much as challenges, again, growing up in my head was a challenge every day. And now I realize that every breakdown I had and everything I went through was for a beautiful reason, and it was for a reason where I could talk openly about it and help other people and grow within myself and learn how to love myself. And I mean, everything was an opportunity for growth. And it's again, this kind of goes back to how you view things, but there's going to be challenges no matter what you deal with in life. And how you view those challenges, you can view them as, oh, this is a huge setback, or this is really hard. I don't know if I can do this, or I couldn't do it today, or I'm a fail, whatever those thoughts, those can all be counteracted by, hey, I learned something from this. I can use this to be better next time. I am learning how to better myself. I will use this to better myself. I'm grateful this happened. This has brought new perspectives into my life. You can change all of those with your perspective. And again, I know I said this a couple times, but it's just hones in on, again, when I look back on January and I was thinking about the things that didn't go so well, it was so that I could be like, I'm grateful for those things that happened because they happened for a reason and I learned things from them and I overcame them and I'm stronger for them, and it's totally fine and good. It's a good thing they happened, because if you never had any challenge or anything to overcome, you would never grow.
Hmm.
So it's how you view the challenge. And and there's a lot to learn from them, and they're the whole reason that you are who you are today is because of the challenges that you went through. They shape who you are. So yeah, I think all of that kind of ties in with the resilience and the adaptability. You become very resilient, and the thing too with adaptability, again, stoicism plays a lot into it for me, where again, you can't control what you can't control. And because when you're only focusing on yourself and the things that you can control, you are able to adapt to external situations better, because you're not hung up on those external situations. And that's also a huge part of being adaptable and resilient, is realizing that your self-love and your self-worth is just as much as a priority. And whatever the world tries to throw at you, as long as you have your back, you're going to get through it, and you're going to come out on top. It may take a while, it may take a few months depending on the circumstance, but you're going to grow stronger, you're going to learn from it, and it's going to benefit you in the long run. So any challenge is going to support the resilience and the adaptability. It's how you view the challenge.
That's right. Well, this next one is pretty much what you just said, turning setbacks into learning experiences, embracing a growth mindset, and reframing failures.
Wow, yeah, I hit the nail on the head with that, yeah.
And I would say that the majority of the people that I have talked to so far on this podcast have done just that. They have that growth mindset. They have reframed their failures. Like, they're just amazing people. And I'm learning from them, and I'm learning from you as well. So the last one is self-love and personal values, aligning actions with personal values, the impact of living authentically on self-love.
Yeah, know your worth. Know your worth. Know what is worth your time. Know what is worth your energy. Know what is worth your thoughts and your over. Again, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. 24 hours that we will never get back. Know what is worth that time of yours. Your time is valuable. Your time is precious. And if there's something that isn't aligning with your personal values or what you believe in, or doesn't serve you, or is bringing you down, or is causing unwanted, unneeded stress and anxiety, then that thing isn't worth it. And that's the whole aligning actions with personal values. And yeah, it ties in with everything that I've been saying, but really with the whole practice of self-love comes this understanding of self-worth. And that is what this is really, to me, talking about, is that's how you can live authentically with self-love, is by knowing your worth, knowing that your time is valuable, knowing that your input is valuable, your voice is valuable, that yourself, you are valuable, you make a contribution, and that is valuable.
Very well said. Is there anything else that you want to say before we wrap up today, Jaimi? It's just been a delight to have you back again.
I think the last thing that I'll say is that, again, the road to self-love and self-acceptance and self-worth, it's a never-ending road. And that's not to sound discouraging, but it's that you can always learn more about yourself and learn more about how to be better with yourself and your thoughts and your time. It's as you get older, and more challenges you've gone through, and more things you went through, good or bad. You're constantly evolving and you're constantly changing. And that's kind of the beauty with self-love and self-growth, is that it's a ever-changing, ever-growing journey, just like you are an ever-changing, ever-growing person. So it doesn't have an end point. And I think that's really cool. There's always room to explore, and there's always room to be better to yourself and be kinder to yourself, and in turn be kinder and better to others. So again, don't go into the journey of self-love with like, I have to get to this end goal, because there isn't a real end
No,
goal.
it's like a waterfall. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
I'd rather it be a waterfall than a bottomless. First, I thought bottomless pit, but I didn't like that analogy. Just a waterfall. It keeps going, and it spreads
Yeah.
to others around
Mhm.
you. If you're living your authentic self,
Yeah.
it spreads to others. And I am now living my authentic self, and I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. And I think a lot of people in my life are happier. And
Mhm.
so,
Yeah. I'll say that's how I want to leave it. It's an ever-growing journey, just like you are, and that's what's really cool about it.
well, thanks for joining me again today, Jaimi. And
Thank you.
you're welcome to come back anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, Beth. It was a pleasure.
Please join me next Monday for another episode of Around and Around the OCD Circle. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast to tell your OCD story, please contact me at one of my social media accounts below. Until next Monday, remember that I am in your corner. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, while not curable, can be managed, and I am living proof of that. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.